In March 2003, the United States Congress approved $79 billion in emergency war funding. That number was called a one-time cost. By 2021, the total cost of post-9/11 wars had reached $8 trillion. That gap, from $79 billion to $8 trillion, was not a miscalculation. It was a design feature. The official explanation is that wars cost more than anticipated. But cost overruns at this scale are not accounting errors. They are architecture. And someone designed that architecture. By the end of this video, you will understand the exact mechanism that allows the United States to finance unlimited warfare without raising taxes, and who that system was built to benefit. Your grocery bill is higher than it was in 2019. Your salary increase, if you received one, did not match it. Your savings account earned 4% interest last year, and you still lost purchasing power. The mechanism that explains war financing also explains those numbers. They are the same system. This is not an accident. This is a system, and this video is about how it works. Most people understand war costs money. The US government collects taxes and uses them to fund public services, including the military. When spending exceeds tax revenue, the government borrows the difference. It issues treasury bonds. Investors, domestic and foreign, buy those bonds. The government gets cash. The investor gets a promise of repayment with interest. This is called deficit spending, and on the surface it appears to work like a household mortgage. Borrow now, repay over time. But there is a fundamental difference between your mortgage and US war debt. Your bank did not create the money it lent you from nothing. When the US government issues a war bond, the Federal Reserve has the ability to purchase that bond directly. It does not use existing money to do so. It creates new money. This mechanism is called monetization of debt, and it has been used to finance every major American military conflict since World War II. This is why the price of your groceries in 2024 is connected to a war that began in 2001. The money created to finance that war still exists in circulation. It did not disappear when the war ended. Chapter 1 Cliffhanger. But this raises a question no official budget document is designed to answer. If the Federal Reserve can purchase government debt with newly created money, what prevents unlimited war spending? The mechanism that answers that question is hiding inside every Treasury auction. The mainstream narrative says the Federal Reserve is independent. It sets monetary policy, interest rates, without political influence. And technically, that is accurate. The Fed does not take orders from the White House. But the Fed does not need to take orders. The incentive structure ensures coordination without a single phone call. Here is the mechanism. When the US goes to war, Congress authorizes emergency military spending. That spending requires issuing new Treasury bonds. An excess of bonds on the market drives down their price and drives up interest rates. Rising interest rates make the national debt more expensive to service. The Federal Reserve, tasked with maintaining financial stability, intervenes. It purchases Treasury bonds, suppressing yields and keeping rates manageable. This is called quantitative easing when it happens during a financial crisis. It is the same mechanism when it happens during a war. Here is the number that changes everything. Between 2001 and 2022, the US Federal Reserve's balance sheet expanded from $700 billion to $8.9 trillion. That expansion means the Federal Reserve created approximately $8.2 trillion in new money. Much of it absorbed the Treasury bonds issued to finance post-9/11 wars, pandemic spending, and financial crisis intervention. This figure is reported publicly by the Federal Reserve. It is never discussed in mainstream coverage of war costs. The mechanism that makes this possible is called the Fiscal-Monetary Nexus. It is not a conspiracy, it is an institutional design. The Treasury issues debt, the Fed absorbs excess debt, the dollar supply expands, prices rise. The inflation tax is paid by every dollar holder in the world. This is why inflation followed the wars, not a coincidence, a sequence. In 1944, the Bretton Woods system formalized the dollar as the world reserve currency. This gave the United States a structural advantage no other nation holds. War debt issued in dollars is absorbed globally, not just domestically. Every country holding dollar reserves effectively co-finances American military spending, whether they agree with the war or not. The global reserve currency is not a financial convenience. It is a war financing mechanism. You do not need to care about geopolitics to be affected by war debt. You need to care about your savings account. The $8.9 trillion on the Federal Reserve's balance sheet did not stay on a spreadsheet. It entered the financial system. It reached asset markets first: stocks, real estate, corporate bonds. Then it reached consumer prices. This is the Cantillon Effect. The people closest to newly created money, banks, large corporations, defense contractors, benefited first. The people furthest from it, wage earners, savers, paid the inflation tax last and hardest. This is not a political statement. It is the mechanical outcome of the Fiscal-Monetary Nexus operating over 20 years. What changes when you understand this? Your frame of reference changes. Inflation is not weather. It is not random. It is the deferred cost of decisions made by institutions, spread invisibly across every dollar-denominated account on Earth. The war is over. The debt is not. The Federal Reserve currently holds more Treasury debt than any single nation on Earth. That debt will be rolled over, refinanced, and expanded. Not because of irresponsibility, because the system was designed to function this way. Most people will never understand why their purchasing power declines in peacetime. You now do.